Revenge films.
My name is Alice. I live with my husband, Kevin. My husband always had a bright and positive personality, and I loved my life with him. We got along really well, and we were happily married. However, unlike my husband, who was like a ray of sunshine, his mother was the complete opposite of him, and she was devious with two faces to her personality. I would have to see my mother-in-law about 2 times a year, and every single time she would always passive-aggressively harass me. I hated it. No matter how much my husband or my father-in-law would scold her for her treatment of me, she only continued to bully me, and my husband and I didn't know what to do about it. That was when I came up with a certain plan for the next time we would go to visit his parents' house to try to fix my mother-in-law's harassment of me. And that strategy was for me to pretend to be clueless. I always had a bit of an airheaded personality, but I had been doing my best to try to appear extra put together in front of my mother-in-law. But from now on, I decided to stop pretending and decide to go against her just as I am and to be clueless to her harassment. And so one day, it was the equinox, a celebration during the Buddhist festival. Kevin and I went to go visit his family house on that day as it was a family event. On our way there, when we were driving, I called Kevin's mother to ask her if there was anything that we needed to bring. Unexpectedly, my mother-in-law spoke to me in a kind voice and said, "You don't need to bring anything, so please come empty-handed. We have everything here." That being said, there was no way that we would show up empty-handed, so on our way there, we stopped at a department store to buy Kevin's mother's favorite Japanese sweets. I heard that this is a really famous shop for this treat.
I wonder if my mom will be happy we brought these.
I hope she'll be happy. When we finally arrived at their house, Kevin's parents were both waiting outside to welcome us in.
You're finally here! Welcome! Make yourselves at home.
Let's light the incense in the Buddhist altar first, and then we can have dinner all together.
So Kevin and I headed straight towards the altar in the house, and just as we sat down and put our hands together to pray, suddenly my mother-in-law came over and spoke to us.
Oh my! Today is the equinox and you haven't prepared anything for the altar? In times like this, I shouldn't have to tell you to bring something for the altar. That's just basic standard knowledge, isn't it?
She said that out loud as if to properly shame us in front of the altar, and then grinned from ear to ear. But then, because Kevin was sitting right next to the car when I spoke to her on the phone, he stood up and responded firmly to her.
You're the one who told us we didn't need to bring anything, Mom!
And this is when the wife should know better and be more thoughtful. That's a standard. And yet you don't even know that, and you married into this family? Your parents must not have raised you well. What an embarrassment.
My mother-in-law then glared at me with sharp eyes, waiting for my response. But that was when I decided to put my plan into action.
Hey, Mom! You don't need to take it that far!
It's fine. Well then, how about this? What I pulled out of my bag was the half-eaten bag of chips that Kevin and I had been snacking on in the car. I'm so glad we didn't finish all of them and had a few left. I then placed the half-eaten bag of chips on the altar and turned back around and put my hands together as if to pray. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw my father-in-law who was watching the whole thing smirk. On the other side of me, my husband seemed desperate to hold in his laughter. As for my mother-in-law, she was at a loss for words and was simply standing there with her jaw on the ground. And then, after that, my mother-in-law continued to try to attack me. Oh, I almost forgot. This is a gift for you, so please enjoy it. If I remember correctly, you like Japanese sweets, wasn't that right? I think these ones were your favorite.
What is this? I've never seen Japanese sweets that smell this cheap. Definitely something that a peasant with poor taste would choose.
Well, but I heard that this was a famous shop for them.
I've never even heard of this shop before. You're always just pulling things out of nowhere and making things up. You really are such an untrustworthy woman.
Even after that, my mother-in-law continued to mutter complaints under her breath, and so I decided to put my strategy into place again and fight back. Is that so? Well, if you don't like them, then I'll just take them back home with us. When I tried to take the box of Japanese sweets, my mother-in-law panicked and jumped in front of them.
It's fine. This is a pathetic gift, but just leave it here.
Oh, please, there's no need to force yourself to eat it. I love Japanese sweets, so Kevin and I can just eat this at home ourselves. There's no need for you to eat what you don't like.
It's fine, just leave it here. Stop that.
But you really don't need to force it, ma'am. It was obvious that my mother-in-law was confused and didn't know how to react. Up until now, my mother-in-law tried to do whatever she could to make me suffer and wake me upset. And so she had done all kinds of things to me. However, I wasn't going to lose. And that was especially because if I let her win here, I knew that the harassment was only going to continue. At the very least, I needed to win in my persistence. When it came time for lunch, my mother-in-law told me to go and cook for the family, so I went into the fridge and decided to make lunch with whatever was left. I was always pretty good at cooking, and so I put in even more extra effort into the dishes that day, and I prepared lunch for the family. When everything was finished, I laid it all out on the dining room table, and my father-in-law was thrilled when he saw the plates.
This looks delicious! Alice, you're such a great chef!
That's right. Alice is really good at cooking, and everything always tastes amazing. So hurry up and try it. You'll love it.
Thank you so much. Well then, let's eat. We all sat down and began to eat lunch, and just as I expected, my mother-in-law took the opportunity to fire plenty of insults.
There's barely any flavor on this. It's tasteless. This is so disgusting. There's no way that I could eat this. Are you really always making Kevin eat food like this? You're a failure as a wife.
Mom, that's enough. Cut it out already!
That's right. Ever since they got here, you've been saying the same kind of thing to Alice. What are you trying to do?
I'm only telling the truth. What's wrong with that? You clearly don't know how to cook. Oh, this tastes so awful, so terrible.
I'm sorry. Well then, how about this? As I said that, I grabbed the soy sauce and the miso from the kitchen, and on just my mother-in-law's plate, I poured a lot of each on the cooking. My mother-in-law stood there in shock with her jaw on the ground, and so I delivered my final blow. I was always taught to finish the food on my plate, especially when somebody cooked it for you. Isn't that right, ma'am? My mother-in-law quietly sat down and reluctantly carried her chopsticks to the plate. But upon her first bite, she coughed and then ran straight to the bathroom. She was in there for a while. When my mother-in-law came out of the bathroom, she had gone completely quiet. Then after that, she didn't say another complaint to me for the rest of the day. Now that I had finally taken down my mother-in-law who was always harassing me, I was able to enjoy the rest of my time at Kevin's family's house that day, and I went home in a refreshing mood. On the drive home, Kevin and I could only talk about what happened with his mother.
Alice, you really are amazing. I always knew that you were a little bit airheaded, but I didn't think that you would be able to take it this far. It took everything in me to contain my laughter.
Maybe I shouldn't have tried to pretend like I was more put together just in front of your mom. I should have just been myself as it is from the very beginning, and then maybe she wouldn't have known how to bully me until now.
Nobody can win against your airheadedness. I tried to yell at my mom so many times until now, but it never worked. And this time, I didn't need to do anything.
But the thought is more than enough. Thank you for always having my back. Not long after that, one day I received a phone call from my brother-in-law's wife. My sister-in-law and I were close in age, and so we got along well, and we often got in touch with each other. But that day, when I answered the phone, my sister-in-law sounded a lot more troubled than usual. Hey, what's the matter? If anything happened, you can always talk to me about it.
Yes, well, it's actually about her mother-in-law, and...
The moment she said that, I had a bad feeling over me. As it turned out, once my mother-in-law stopped harassing me, she had changed her target onto my sister-in-law. Even though she's been stressed out by her mother-in-law's harassment and was doing her best to avoid going to their house, she was going to have to go there that weekend. And so my sister-in-law was calling me because she couldn't bear the thought of going over there and being harassed as usual. And that was when I told her about my strategy that worked when I went over there last time, and I told her to do the same thing.
I wonder if I can do it well, though.
You'll be fine. I succeeded. I got out of it. You got this.
Oh, thank you. I'll do my best.
I was nervous and excited for her while I waited to hear back from her. And then, a few days later, I got a phone call. There, she told me that she succeeded in the same strategy and that she was able to get her mother-in-law to shut up and stop harassing her. My sister-in-law was really grateful to me, and she thanked me over and over again. Some time passed after that, and my husband and I had plans to go visit his parents' house for the first time in a while. I hadn't seen my mother-in-law since that day, and so I was nervous to see how she was going to interact with me. When we arrived, my father-in-law was outside to welcome us in alone. When I looked closely, I saw my mother-in-law peeking out at us from the back door.
Welcome!
Wait, Mom? What are you doing over there?
Welcome.
Even after that, while the three of us were happily catching up in the living room, she suddenly got up and said,
I just remembered that I have plans,
and ran out of the house.
Did something happen with Mom?
Actually, to tell you the truth, she's been acting really strange lately.
According to Kevin's father, my mother-in-law sensed deja vu with me and my sister-in-law's airheaded defense strategy, and she thought that maybe she was having a psychic phenomenon, and she started going to see an exorcist. Ever since then, even though my mother-in-law was always strong in her actions, she thought that she had been cursed after harassing her daughter-in-laws. She had entirely calmed down. After that, every single time we went to go visit Kevin's parents, she started to be kind towards me, and she was even thoughtful of me. I don't know if that was her true nature, but at the very least it's been a lot easier for me to get along with her. And now, I was just glad. Apparently, my mother-in-law wasn't harassing just myself and my sister-in-law, but she used to be the same way to others. However, she stopped being so mean, and now she has a lot more friends. And to me, it seems like her personality has changed for the better as well. Because of my revenge strategy, it seems like everybody is getting along better now, and I'm truly glad to see it. From now on, I just want to continue to become even closer with my husband and his family, so that we can all be a happy family together.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.